Sound. Uh, Hello? Okay, I think there's sound now. Hold on a second. Hold on. Okay, so can everybody hear me now? Apologies for this. I've just been traveling and I've been on a really bad connection as of late. Um, and just let me know that you have sound now. Should be sound now, guys. Just let me know that you can hear the sound, and we'll get going. Okay, so we're good. Thank you. Okay, so just saying at the beginning, I've been away for a while with some family stuff, and my connection isn't that great. And so if I'm lagging a bit, apologies for that. I'm kind of between houses, different internet connections, and so forth. Um, but anyways, let's get going. Okay, so today we're here with another Elrond Talks, and it's very happy to be back. And today we have Ryan from Aerovec here. He's an entrepreneur, developer. He's been in the blockchain space for a long time. He's an Elrond warrior. You all know him, and he's out there. He's out there doing some really good work. And I'm really happy to have him on and tell us about what he's up to. We're going to talk about why it's a no-brainer to be developing on Elrond, and we'll take some questions and the usual. Again, just apologies if there's any lag or if there's a crash at some point. As I said, I've just been away and between family houses, and the internet sometimes isn't that great. So apologies for that. So without further ado, I'm going to get Ryan on to tell us why he's chosen Elrond, how he found Elrond, and then after that we'll get into the conversation as per usual on various things. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ryan Dietz, founder of Aerovec Aviation.
Hey Kevin. Thanks for having me. It's going to be fun to be here. I haven't done an interview in a while, so this should be exciting. But right to the point. We started on Elrond for many reasons, but mostly because of what everybody likes about it: the speed and security and inexpensive transactions. So we found Elrond, I think 2018 October, something like that. When they first got listed on Binance, I was one of those nerds that was always combing through, finding new projects and things like that. So was lucky to find it and did my research and kind of never looked back from there.
That's awesome. I'm actually one of those nerds who found Elrond through Binance as well as part of the IEO actually, and I got a lottery ticket or two I think for that, and so yeah, it's great to have you. So we have a tradition here at Elrond Talks where we just have you tell us something about yourself that proves you're not a robot. For example, I like to surf, bike, and I'm learning how to kite surf. So let's get your human side out there before we get back into the nerd talk.
Yeah, of course. So it's surprising to some, being a developer, but really into dirt bikes and racing. I come from a racing family. My dad was a racer. I was a racer, and my son is now. So that's what we do on the weekends. That's what we do for fun. We try to ride dirt bikes. We race karts and anything we can get our hands on that has horsepower. So I guess that's my human side, is the adrenaline junkie, always chasing that fix.
Okay, we're just having some reports of a bit of an echo, and I think that's actually part to do with the stream health. But let's just see if that echo goes away now. We'll keep talking, and then if someone can tell me if it's gone or not. Like I said, the connection is a bit weak, so hopefully the echo doesn't go away. It does go away, I mean. Okay, so apologies. I just want to wait and see if we can get that echo away. Okay, it's fixed now. Okay, great. Okay, so we're fixed. All right, so yeah, so race cars. That's awesome. And obviously aviation as well, right?
Yep. Yeah, so aviation was something I picked up a couple years ago. A friend of mine's a flight instructor, and we had to take a business trip for my last company, and it was kind of a short trip. So, he hit us up and said, "Hey, I can just fly you there," and fairly inexpensive. And so we took him up on it. And ever since that moment, I've kind of been hooked, So I started going to flight school and started logging hours. And hopefully one day I'll get my pilot's license. But, between development and family and everything else, it's a hard thing to kind of focus on all at once. So I get up when I can, but not as much as I'd like to.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you seem to be a man of many talents. So you race cars, you're starting flying, and now you're also a developer. So let's dig into that and dig into your developer background and where where did you start developing? How did you start developing? Have you developed on other chains before Elrond, etc.?
Yeah, so I think I started back in '08, '09, something like that. I had a t-shirt company that I was doing graphic designs for and stuff like that. And I needed a website to put the shirts up, and tried hiring somebody, and that was a nightmare, and it was expensive, and we never actually got anything. So, the entrepreneur in me kind of said, well, why don't I just try to do it? And I took a stab at it, and of course failed and failed and failed, and just kind of kept working at it, kept learning, and did a little bit of schooling for it. And here we are however many years later, and I'm still learning and still pushing the envelope. And I think for me it's fun to try to create things that nobody's created or haven't thought about or anything like that. So when I got into the blockchain, 2015, somewhere around there, I was really into Ethereum at the time. I was a miner and all that kind of cool stuff, and I started developing when their tools came out with their Web3 and all that kind of cool stuff. And I really liked Ethereum for a long time, but I quickly noticed the scalability issues were going to be a problem. So excuse me, I moved from Ethereum. I started messing with Tron, which is basically Ethereum. I'm pretty sure it's a fork. And they had some cool features for DEXs. And this was when DeFi was really kind of starting to take hold and get popular. They had a functionality to create AMMs, pairs based on the Bancor protocol. And so I started messing with that, but security was a big issue. And I was never confident with the security of Tron or Ethereum, have a user hold his own keys and download them and all that stuff. Being a one-man team or a two-man team at that time, it wasn't an undertaking I wanted to do. So, that's really when Elrond stepped in with their security, their features, their speed, their inexpensive transactions. It kind of brought everything together that, I was looking for in a blockchain project to develop on. So that's really where I took notice, among being a fan and an investor, being a developer kind of came around full circle for me.
Yeah, so you're self-taught with a little bit of schooling,
Hmm.
and then through trial and error, I suppose, in some of the other networks, you eventually found the light, which is Elrond, and all that sort of stuff. So as of now, why what made you overall say just ditch the other ones, come to Elrond, and what advantage does Elrond have over the other ones in your opinion?
Well, I mean, there's multiple reasons. Community was huge in Tron and Ethereum. There was no community support. It was kind of just a free for all. I was an investor before I was a developer with Elrond, and having that community and talking to guys like Paz and Paul and these guys that were very supportive. And at the time, Elrond didn't have a lot of docs out. I mean, they had some basic stuff for querying the blockchain and transactions and things like that. So I played with a lot of that stuff, but really it was the speed. I knew the bottleneck issues with Ethereum. Elrond solved that problem. I'm a researcher. I read as much as I can about as many projects as I can, and I've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of projects launched since 2015, and they were a little bit different. They were different in the way their approach, their user experience was a top priority for them, which it always has been for me. A product's only as good as what a user can do with it, and so all that kind of just fed into it to make it a no-brainer. Like, why would I develop on anything else? Was kind of the question I was asking myself.
Yeah, well, why would anyone, when you actually look at all the advantages
Yeah.
that Elrond has, like your smart contracts, if you write them, are going to kick you back 30% royalty, right? So right there, that's something that no one else really does at all. And you have the scalability, and yeah, you touched on community, and like community's huge. Have you seen any real support from the team as well? Like I know you've kind of told me, but maybe you want to give some insight to that to everybody as well. How it's been
Yep.
working with the team.
It was amazing. I mean, me being kind of a nobody, just hanging around in the telegrams, getting to know some of the people. I always kind of laughed that I used to pester Sever all the time, and hey, what tools can I play with, and how do I get this to work? And he's been absolutely amazing, with the support of, hey, why don't you try this API out, or give this a go, and so, like I said, that's something you don't get in other communities, and it just kind of fueled the fire for me of how far can I take this? What can I do with it? And and then putting the Aerovec kind of idea out there in the Twitter space, and grabbing people like Mary, and the mods that we have, and getting the support from other Telegram members in the Elrond channel. It's like I said, it's just fueled the fire to keep burning, and burn hotter every day. So every day I kind of wake up more motivated to, what can we do? What can we build? How can we make this better? And getting the support from them. And, whenever I have a question in the Elrond dev channel, Martin's there, within 30 seconds with an answer. So it's unseen in the space to this point.
Yeah, and that's accessibility, right?
Yep.
And bringing more people over, they're going to feel a lot more comfortable about building on Elrond, strictly because yeah, you got people answering quickly. You have rock stars like Sever out there doing his thing and making sure that your needs are met, and noticing talent, right? And you said you didn't feel like a nobody, and I think the big thing about Elrond is you're not a nobody in Elrond. No one necessarily is a nobody, and if you're going to bring anything to the table, you're going to be given that opportunity to flourish, and yeah, wake up every day excited to go see what's next, and work with those around you. I have to say, I'll give a shout out to Mary here too. And she's like out there just killing it, and thumping that drum every day, and thumping that drum for Arrow and stuff. And I see her there saying hi to everybody, and welcoming people. So thanks to Mary. I give her a bit of recognition.
Yeah,
Um,
she's a rock
yeah,
star.
she really is. Yeah. So thank you to you, Mary, and obviously everybody else. But I just wanted to give a shout out there because she is doing a lot of work out there for everyone, and is a
Yeah.
true warrior as well. Um,
Yeah, very well deserved.
for sure. Let's move into kind of just what Aerovec is, and exactly what you're planning to do, and what you are doing already. You already have a beta version out there that people can go kind of play with, and that sort of stuff. So just maybe give a little rundown of that.
Yeah, so Aerovec, it really happened organically. When I was on a flight with my flight instructor, and he knew my old company. I had a tech company that I ran for 5 years, and walked away from to retire. And on a flight one day, he's like, "Well, why don't we do this for aviation?" And it's kind of similar in a way. And I didn't know much about the aviation space at the time, other than I've always had a passion for it. Out of high school, I wanted to be a fighter pilot, and I had all those dreams of Top Gun and all that kind of cool stuff. So, I started researching it, and I noticed a gaping hole in the industry where it was very far behind tech-wise. There wasn't a lot of advancement in this side of things as far as marketplaces and on-demand flights, and really anything for the average user to play with. It was a very kind of upper echelon community, and it wasn't. They didn't have their own home to call the call for themselves. And so when we started building, it started out as a marketplace, and then I quickly realized that there's a lot of features that we could build into this that don't exist, that I personally would like to use. And it's the same thing of when my flight instructor took us on that business trip. Other people probably want to do this, right? I mean, who wants to drive 5 hours when you can fly there in 45 minutes? And I think cost was a big driver for people. Is I'm not going to pay $1,000 to get a private jet to fly an hour. Um, but there's a lot of opportunities out there with smaller, less expensive planes that people could be traveling and things like that. So we kind of got to work quickly and wanted to build a prototype that people could play with and kind of let it organically grow on its own. We're not the, or I'm not the kind of developer that's static, right? I'm not going to pencil everything out and this is what it's going to be and that's all it's going to be. It's for me, it's let's put something out there. Let's get feedback. Let's let this snowball kind of take off and see what we can do with it. And that's kind of where we're at is, it started off, like I said, as a marketplace with blockchain technology, but then blockchain opens up a lot of other opportunities with the NFTs and data storage and things like that. So every day it's kind of like, okay, well, we can do this and why not do this? And so we kind of kept going with it. And now with pilot certifications and verification, it's a really important thing. When you're flying with a pilot, it's not like an Uber driver where they just have to have a driver's license. They have to have certain certifications and medical and all this stuff. And it's not really readily available. I mean, there's an obscure FAA website. You can kind of look things up. But what if we could bring all that into one place, allow pilots to organize their flights, organize their documentation, have it readily available on the blockchain so it's public, and that's really where the aha moment came in to where, this could be really cool. And so we kind of just took off. So our plan was to get a beta version out there, get something for the community to play with and start acquiring that feedback. And that's kind of where we're at, So the lounge was really important to give people a place to chat and ask aviation related questions, things like that. The wallet, so we could start tying in different economic functionality. And then next, is the sky's really the limit, but we're working on the on-demand flights, which is the Uber style kind of peer-to-peer platform, which I think is going to be really cool. And so from there, like I said, we're just going to let it go where it takes us.
Yeah, that sounds super, super exciting. And I actually I was actually in Air Cadets actually when I was a kid. And I had this dream of being the fighter pilot too and everything. And I'm constantly flying and looking for ways to fly, etc. But the theme out there in aviation right now is what you're exactly talking about. There's a lot more websites coming out there now where there's plane shares available. You can like not quite like the timeshare stuff, but it's more smaller planes where you can just kind of dial in, and if there's a flight, you can access that flight for a fee potentially of being part of this club.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, with blockchain, like you said, there's the peer-to-peer options and like the Uber style stuff now. Like that there to me is something that as the world gets more and more accessible, the Uber of Aerovec is the Uber of the air would be incredible. Being able to just pick up your phone or log in on a computer and just find someone who's there, has a plane ready, and 2 or 3 hours later you're there on the plane, and it's all peer to peer. And for pilots and for plane owners alone, like that's just a really powerful thing. And then you're touching on just like the actual credential stuff, right? And how hard it is to find. And yeah, like those websites they're either outdated, they're not being updated in real time, they don't scale well. Some of them actually require that you have a membership to even see the stuff, right? And that's not good for a peer-to-peer situation, or even for anyone who just wants to know that they're in good hands, right? And so
Yep.
I think you're onto something really good here. And like the marketplace, amazing idea. But yeah, like you said, once you started going, you started seeing all this other opportunity, and I think all of us out there see you pushing forward and doing more and more day in day out. So like that's incredible. So yeah, like congratulations on that, and we definitely look forward to seeing more. What in aviation necessarily? So you've kind of pointed out a few different things in aviation, but what would you say out of all of those is the most important thing that needs to be solved?
Honestly, for me personally, I look at accessibility. Aviation has always been out of reach for most people, right? The average person can't just go hop on a flight in their local neighborhood. For me, I'm an hour and a half away from any large commercial flights. And so, if I want to, I'm outside of the San Francisco Bay Area. If I want to shoot into San Francisco, I have to drive and I have to fight traffic 4 hours one way. So, I mean, that's a whole day taken up in the car. So if I can run to my local airport that's 15 minutes down the road, I can be there in an hour, have a meeting or do what I got to do. I can be back by lunch. So, it's like Elrond always says, it's about time, right? Time is everything. And it's something you can't get back. So why waste all this time driving and doing all this stuff if you can have accessibility to smaller flights that bounce you around where you need to go, for the businessman or for the people that want to go see family they don't get to see or anything like that. I think one of the coolest things I learned or I was told when I got into the aviation space was the world gets a little bit smaller. And it's crazy how true that is, because when now, driving down to LA, for instance, is an 8.5 hour drive for me. I can fly there in 2.5. I mean, it opens up so many more possibilities for, like I said, families connecting or business trips or whatever, you can see. But that to me is the biggest driver is the accessibility, is giving that option to people that didn't have that option before. I
Yeah.
think that's something that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you touched on exactly that, and that's the time thing, right? And that's what
Mhm.
Meyer and Elrond's all about, is taking back your time.
Yep.
And accessibility and paired with Elrond is just kind of a match made in heaven. And yeah, you're saying, it's 2.5 hours. That's 2.5 door to door, I assume, to LA, not flight time. But yeah, I mean that's incredible. And with the accessibility and Meyer app, if that was integrated with, well, it is already Wallet Connect. So you're there, you have Meyer in your hand, you connect into to Aerovec, boom boom, get your thing, and then all that's immutable on the blockchain. You can check your pilot status out. We can give ratings to those people, and all that sort of stuff, and it's all in a 6 second block, right? So it's quite amazing for sure. So I know there's a lot of people there's a lot of questions out there going around, but maybe before we get into that, do you want to maybe talk about the economics of Aerovec and how that'll tie in with the Elrond blockchain?
Yeah. So economics, like I said before, I've watched a lot of tokens and companies launched since 2015, and they all have, not all of them, but a lot of them have a similar theme, which is how do we make money, right? And for me, it was the opposite. Is we're this isn't about money for us. It's about offering something that hasn't been offered before. And so when we kind of designed the tokenomics of the project, it was, okay, how can we make this as fair as possible? And especially being in the States, there's certain legalities that we have to follow here, so we're not deemed as security and things like that. But we wanted to have a low supply coin that wasn't going to just blow out with billions of coins and things like that. But we wanted to distribute those coins to the community in a way that rewards them for helping us out, because I think that's highly valuable. That's not something that a lot of projects can get. Is getting that valuable feedback on how can we make this project better. So instead of having a pre-sale, we decided to do beta testing giveaways. For instance, on Telegram, everybody that would connect their wallet, as soon as they would connect it, I would send them some tokens, and then they can send them and play around with them and all the things like that. But that stuff aside, we plan on launching on the Meyer Dex when it launches. We don't have all the details for that yet. That'll be coming out soon, but we have a token distribution system that you can see on our website that we think is very fair. We didn't take any outside investment. There's no VCs. I'm bootstrapping this thing myself, by choice. It's not that we're against investors. I just didn't want outside influence that maybe didn't have the same vision that we had. I wanted this thing to be 100% community driven, and let those rewards go back to the community, not to somebody that just invested a bunch of money and holds a bunch of tokens that maybe they plan on selling upon launch. So that was kind of the general theme that we had. So far it's playing out really well. I'm happy with how things are going. the circulating supply is going to be extremely low for the first couple of years, and then the company will add liquidity year over year for a 10-year period. So I think that it'll allow for a stable price, organic growth, and not any kind of funny business going on with pump and dumps and rugs and things that people have come accustomed to with other dexes and things like that. So, we plan on putting out a white paper here soon. But the reason we haven't yet is we're not done coming up with stuff, and I don't want to keep rewriting it. We put out a project summary, which is kind of a living, breathing document. Every day I kind of go in there and maybe update some things, but that'll give you our overall vision, what we want to build, what we want to do, and how we plan on getting there.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's fair. I mean, you're a startup, and I just want to say, I think someone else has said it there as well. Is just your ethos and the way you're going about this is incredible. The fact that you're deciding to not allow VCs in, and do it all on your own, it means it protects you from VC influence and all that sort of stuff, and it makes sure that product stays in line with your own ethos. But your general idea is almost the same as what Elrond does as well, right? And it's not about the money. It's about solving a problem and doing it right and ethically and being out there to really change the world, right? And not just not be all VC driven. The problem with VCs is all they want to see is quarterly growth, more money in their pocket, and if that doesn't happen, then there's clauses where they can take your company from you, and
Yeah.
that's just not what you want and what most people want. I'm the same way. I wouldn't go down VC routes either. And I think because you're doing that and people see that you're doing that, you're going to succeed for that purpose alone. And so, I mean, we're all really happy to have you and have someone who thinks the exact same way as Elrond and the community.
Yep.
And every day we grow with more like-minded people, and more like-minded people keep joining our community, and we're getting the Ryans coming out, and there's more and more other people starting to show up every now and then too, and that's what's making us stronger. Let's just shift this over to Elrond for a second and just developing on Elrond. What would you say to someone right now who is planning to maybe build something on Elrond? What would you say to them to push them over the edge?
Do it. Don't talk, just do it. Yeah, I mean, that's something that I've seen in my experience is some people get so caught up with overthinking what they're going to do, they never actually do it. And I've been guilty of that myself. It's there's nothing wrong with planning and penciling out everything you're going to do, and that works for some people. But some people, you just need to dive in, because once you do, that snowball starts and it'll keep going and keep going. Don't be intimidated. It's a lot of these projects out there that they're very intimidating. It's crypto, it's money, it's security. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, right? But you can't be scared of that stuff. Start with something small. Start with a blockchain query. Start pulling in your transactions. And like I said, let that snowball. Just take it day by day. But at the end of the day, you have to start somewhere. And so
Yep.
the best thing I can say is just do it. Just jump in.
Yeah, the thing I tell people all the time, and I'm not a big fan of over strategy either. There's obviously a place to strategy, but what I tell people is, like, just break down your front door and rebuild it. If you break down your front door, you have to rebuild it. If you sit there and think about what the best way to break your door down is, you're never going to break your door down, and you won't get the new door that you wanted, right? So exactly, just do it. Break down the door and just rebuild it. And yeah, you might make a few problems along the way, and strategy is important. What door do I want? But if you don't break down the door, you're never gonna implement anything. So that's great
Yep.
advice. Um,
Exactly. Yeah. And just start in the Elrond dev channel. If you have an idea of something you want to build, start, researching it. Look up the Elrond docs. There's a ton of docs out there on NFTs and transactions and basic stuff of, REST APIs. But hop in the dev channel. Don't be scared. Ask questions. There's so many great people in there that are willing to help, between Marius and Martin and all of them. I think you'll find that once you dive in, you'll be sad you didn't do it sooner.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like you see all your friends jumping into the deep end of the pool, and you just sit there and watch, and you could do that for 2 years, and then you finally jump in, and then you won't stop jumping in. You're doing
Yep,
flips, you're doing dives, you're doing everything. So yeah,
exactly.
just jump on in. That's awesome. And obviously, I'll add to anyone, any developer out there who's watching, like or as Ryan said, or we'll just call you Rock because everyone's saying Rock the House. I like that one. But anyways, is yeah, like look, you're gonna get 30% royalties back on any transaction fees from your smart contracts. You can pretty well use any language, or will be able to. Um, you have the developer community that actually works and actually works with you. Everyone is super helpful, and is there for you. And you have a lot of use cases, and the tooling is there and starting to come up. The docs are being filled out more and more every day. There's the tooling is there. We're seeing more and more stuff coming out. There's Elrond themselves. Well, like they don't sleep. The developer team, right? They're out there constantly pushing, and bringing us up to that point where we need to be. I think the flip side of that, the reason people pick some of these other chains is because they've had 6-7 years of time to build all their stuff and get to that point, right? And now we're at that point where we have those tools and people are building those tools, and we have Elrond Tax, we have Elrond Scan recently just came out as well, and yourself. We also have the Black Hat guys who just came out with their MVP. So we're starting to see things move and people are building, and the early adopters are the ones who are going to who are going to luck out and get the most value. But that doesn't mean any other developer shouldn't come in. If you're on the fence watching this and you're a developer, just go to the Elrond Dev channel and just start working on something small and just see how easy it really is, and the support you have. It's unparalleled in the industry, and it's something that's a breath of fresh air out there for a lot of people. And I think Ryan, you're the perfect example of someone who took it upon their own accord to leave other chains to come over and work with Elrond based on your knowledge of the blockchain and developing. So you're a really good use case for that. And like I said, everyone in the community, the team, and everybody, we're so happy to have you. And this Aerovec is just such a wonderful idea. Um, so
Well, thank you.
so that's great. So we have tons of questions. I have some that I've already picked up. There's one there. There's one there that I just want to, uh, before I forget it. There's one saying, what about flight clearance, right? So I know when you fly private, it's really just you just put your name down. It's not the same as flying in commercial or public, right? So someone asked what would happen with getting your name cleared for a flight, and how fast that would happen, and would that maybe hold up the process in some way?
No, when you're flying private, it's not like commercial. That's one thing I quickly learned is, my local airport here, you walk right up to the plane, you get in, you go. It's no different than getting in a car. Now, for the pilot, it's a little bit different. He has to go through his checks and all that kind of stuff, but um, it's not as intimidating as a lot of people think. And a lot of pilots will attest to this, that, it's two different worlds, flying commercial and then flying privately. So, I'll give you an example. When I have a business meeting in LA, I drive 10 minutes to my local airport. The plane's fueled, ready to go with my pilot. We hop in and we take off. We cruise anywhere from 4,500 feet to 6,000 feet, flying in a little Cessna. And there's really nothing else to it. I mean, it's very simple. All the responsibility obviously is on the pilot, and that's why the certifications and verifications are so important. You want to make sure that they're up on everything. But that's one thing about the aviation community is these guys aren't slackers. These guys, they're very, very smart people, and they know their stuff, and they take care of their airplanes. And if somebody's marketing their services, more times than not, they're very trustworthy, solid people. So, my flight instructor, for instance, he's constantly getting new ratings, and and things like that. So every few weeks or whatever, he'll call me and I'm getting my jet this or whatever. So the best thing I could say is give it a shot. Go to your local airport, charter a flight. A little Cessna 172, nothing fancy. It usually costs around 150 bucks an hour or something like that, but you can go pretty far in an hour. So if you want to shoot over to the coast, if you live near there, or go see some family, give it a shot. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think the problem that like a lot of people don't realize that there's different designations for different planes. Every plane has a different license, or like yeah, so you have to be licensed for a different plane or
Capabilities.
capabilities. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
so and yeah, that's where again the blockchain kind of fixes that. So you'll be able to go very easily go and check your pilot out before you fly privately instead of some guy just telling you, oh, I got a plane, jump in, right?
Yeah. It's a
It's
crop duster.
yeah,
Yeah. So
go ahead.
one cool product that we're coming out with is a pilot's card. So every professional pilot on the platform is going to get an aluminum card with a QR code on it. That QR code can be scanned with the app, and it'll pull up all their ratings and certifications, expiration dates, everything that you're going to need to know to verify that he's legitimate and so on and so forth. And for the pilot, it makes it easy to keep everything organized. I think for my CFI, one of the big problems, he's got books and papers everywhere scattered, coffee stains and this, that, and the other. And this, digitizing everything and making it organized in a way that you can easily present it, I think, it may sound small, but that's a big deal for some of these guys to bring this technological advancement into the space to where, let's get out of the Stone Age. Like Elrond always says, it's like going from mail to email. Well, let's get rid of the paper trail and let's digitize it and put it on the blockchain.
Yep. Yeah, and this is like again a great use case, and like there'll be NFTs as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
for sure. There's a follow-up question on that. What about international flights?
Yeah, so international flights, you're not taking a Cessna.
Yeah,
They
obviously.
really can't make it over the pond. So usually you're going to be jet flying for that. And so any pilot that you're going to charter a jet, it's the same process if you're the user. Now, if you're the pilot, then you're going to know what you need to do and what ratings you need for that. But if you're a user and you want to fly from New York to London, let's say, and you find a pilot that has a jet, or a charter service, which is most likely going to be the case, they're going to have all that process for you. So once you get in contact with them, they're going to walk you through the process of what you need and all that. But it's not like a commercial flight to where you need to go through TSA and all that kind of stuff. You walk out on the tarmac, you get on the jet, and you go. It's very common in the upper business world, but it hasn't been very common for the average user, like
Yeah.
us. So that's what we're trying to do is for the international flights, we'd like to bring in some of these companies that are already doing this and get them on the platform. And so we're talking with a few different ones now. It's very promising, and we love what they're doing. So we want to try to promote that by bringing users to them because they're the best at what they do.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the manifest takes like 3 hours or something like that. So with private, you need to. I think I'm pretty sure you need to get your name there, and then it takes about 3 to 4 hours for it to get on the manifest or something, and then you get pre-screened by the country you arrival in and the one you're leaving in, and
Mhm.
you might get asked your passport when you land, you might not. It really
Yeah, when you
depends.
get to customs on the other side and all
Yeah,
that stuff, you'll have to go through the normal
yeah.
customs process of, are you bringing in anything
Yeah,
that
well,
you shouldn't be?
sometimes actually you could land like say in New York to London, you could land in at a certain time, and they actually don't check. They've already ran you through the system, and they've asked the questions and you go through. Most of the time there is someone there, but sometimes there isn't. From what I understand, I've never flown that way before, and I don't know if from a sustainability route I would ever fly on a private jet like that. Just seems like a big waste of energy and
Yeah.
carbon emissions. But the small Cessna stuff, the one engine planes or two engine turboprops or something, right? And that sort of stuff super interested in, especially the fact that I live over in Europe, and if that were to be applied for me to fly, say to Amsterdam to Rome or something like that, or Amsterdam to Paris, and I could just do that on an app, that'd be great, because it probably wouldn't be much more than going commercial. um,
Hmm.
and that sort of stuff. And
And that's what we're all about.
yeah,
Yeah, we're really not doing this to do the big international flights. I mean, it's probably better to fly commercial, honestly, if you're going to do that. It's a lot more cost effective. If you're looking to take a private jet from the U.S. to Europe, you've probably already done it a few times before. I mean, it's not cheap, and we really want to hit home the Cessnas and the bombing around your own states and cross state maybe to see family and stuff like that. That's where I think that accessibility is lacking, and that's where we're going to put most of our effort.
yeah. And so it's exactly like an Uber for planes. Like it's such a
Yep.
such a cool idea. Back to that sustainability thing. We have a question there. Just what are you planning to give back or offset? Do you plan to maybe plant so many trees, or any form of offset or that sort of thing?
Yeah, so philanthropy is a really important part of my life, and this is where I've got to give credit to Mary. Mary has hit me with a few different charity type campaigns that we're going to be pushing out. One of them is connecting families or soldiers or things like that, as well as different tree planting things, to use your example. But yeah, that's going to be a really, really big part of what we do. We're, following the kind of Elrond trait of giving back to the community. That's a big driver for us. For one, I'd say we're open to any and all suggestions on what people think that would be great for the community. Because at the end of the day, like I said, we are doing this for them. And if there's something that there's a certain group that wants to get involved. We're all ears. We'd love to hear from anybody and everybody. So we'll definitely be traveling down that path.
Yeah, and I mean the great thing about this community and the fact that you're on that path to giving back is that we all understand that if we give back, then we'll grow, right? If we all just stay in our own little bubbles and don't give back and don't recognize other community members or other people, then everyone's just kind of growing off in their own little areas, and the community doesn't grow and the project doesn't grow exponentially. We grow, but we grow individually. But if we work together in a decentralized manner, but then also give back, what you'll notice is that avalanche of adoption and the hyper growth, that Benny's always on about, and it's and we're seeing that day in day out now. It's just we're exponentially growing more and more and more, and it's all because of the community engagement. You look at what's going on with the Maiar chaos stuff right now. The community's got at that, and we've 1,400 forum requests,
Hmm.
and that sort of stuff. But like name another project where that many people are coming in and actively being part of it and chaos testing this thing to make it the best possible, and like that trigger event that's happened is now bringing the adoption even bigger. It's giving more faith and more trust in Auron than it ever has, because we work together and give back. And so it's great to know that you're also on that. I wouldn't have assumed less, but to actually hear you say you're a philanthropist and you have all this and you have Mary in your ear all the time, that's good. Good to know.
Yeah, it's really important, and I think it's a great point that you don't find this in other communities, and um, it's sad to say that greed does drive most people, right? Like, what's in it for me? And that's something that I really didn't like about crypto as a whole in the beginning. That's what I didn't like about DeFi in the beginning, the rug pulls, and it's it just leaves a bad taste, and that's something that it was really high on my priority list was what can we do to avoid all of this? What can we do to change the narrative of this isn't just all about one person. Like we're all here for a reason, right? It all started with Plan B, right? 2008 financial crisis, and Wesley is a godsend to the Elrond community. That guy's probably one of the smartest people I've ever had the chance to talk to. But he hits the nail on the head constantly about we're doing this for the greater good, right? There's so many problems out there with mismanagement of government funds and so on and so forth. If we really want to fix it, we have to come together as a community. We can't be in it for ourselves. And so when I'm doing this, that's something that's always in the back of my mind is is what do we do to bring this together, not to make me rich or this guy or VCs or whatever the case is. And I think Elrond's built a community unlike anybody else. That's why their community is so great. That's why everybody's so willing to give, is because they all came in based on that message. And so I couldn't be more proud to be a part of that.
Yeah, and me too. Honestly, this community means everything to me, and being part of it and watching it grow, from way back from the Binance IEO days where you would have started as well. It's just been such an incredible thing, and you touched on Wesley there, and it's the fact we roped him in by being an accepting community and giving back, right? So, and with him now out there doing his thing and constantly pushing the envelope, he's bringing in even more people. So like there's that exponential growth, and we're all out there doing our thing. You have the big the SPs, the staking providers are out there doing things. You got Jose, you got Astari Vision, and Marius, and like there's a lot of people out there, and Eddie, and everybody's out there doing their thing, but we're kind of we isolate ourselves, do our own thing, but the funny thing is we work together and we push out the same things all the time. On the 365-day epoch, it was funny. Jose and me both Palm Tree and Helios both put out a video at the same time. His was here's where we were, and mine was here's where we're going, and they actually lined up, and we didn't even plan that. It just happened, and it just goes to show that when like-minded people come together and good things happen. So we were actually able to say, well, here's where we were and here's where we're going, and those videos played perfectly back to back. And it's just that sort of stuff, and that's happening naturally. We're not sitting back and planning these devious plans and VC attitude or greed. It's all about growth and giving people the chance to access a financial system, without someone putting their hands into the middle of the pie just because they invested. So it's great. Okay, so we have some more questions here. I have some written down that came from Twitter. So so we already answered the first question, which is why did you choose to solve aviation problem specifically on blockchain? We've already kind of talked about that. But you do have some interesting software integrations with the FFA and ICAO. Could you just detail that a bit more?
Yeah, so the FAA, what we do there is for the marketplace. And so it's like a VIN decoder, but it's a tail decoder. So you put in your tail number for an aircraft that you want to sell, and it'll decode the aircraft and populate the fields with all the FAA's all the FAA data that they have. So for one, it speeds up the process, but two, it gives you the accurate data. So you don't have to go searching around for what's this or what engine or whatever the case is. So that's more of an efficiency thing. iCal is really cool because they offer different APIs for flight tracking. So that's used in the Uber style that we're building, and I keep calling it the Uber style. We need to come up with our own name, but I've been calling it AeroShare, or I've got a couple different names that I've been throwing around. But so iCal will be, it's an internationally recognized data service of sorts, to where you can track flights, what's incoming, what's outgoing. It uses the transponders and aircraft and things of that nature. So full transparency essentially on what's coming and what's going and all that kind of cool stuff.
Yeah, great. So I think that's really important for Aerovec and even for Elrond to know that you're integrating the FFA and iCal. Like there's a story in that alone that that data is going to be on the Elrond blockchain, and the FFA is huge, and so that sort of stuff. Like I know you've integrated it, but you've integrated on Elrond, so there's a bit of a side story there about these bodies are now using and will be using Elrond through Aerovec. So I think that's great that you've done that.
Yeah, I think it's really important for us, and a goal of ours to push the aviation industry forward. I don't know if any of the listeners out there have ever been on any of these sites, but they look like they were built in the mid '80s. It's time to upgrade, and I'm not saying that to try to be mean, but innovation needs to be pushed, right, or it gets stale.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do. Is we want to, we will approach a lot of these companies that we feel are outdated, and try to bring them to our side. It's let us help you innovate and become more relevant in this century,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
And I think once people start to see this in action and working, you're going to get the attention of some of the bigger stuff. And like you're just the aviation industry, right? And yeah, that's great. Now you attack that. So we have automotive, we have the Audi Holoride stuff going on, and then there's every other industry. So eventually you're going to see more and more people taking just a small little industry, but once they see a use case, oh wait a minute, we can do that, and then everybody else starts doing it, right? So you're trailblazing that aviation industry, and like good on you, man. Like that's really hard to just go and do something like that and be one of the first, if not the first, to do something like this. And you'll get copycats, but they'll never be Aerovec, right? So that's incredible. So there's another question there. What do you think your biggest challenge is right now?
Um, I looked at this question before, and honestly, I don't really see any big challenges. We're everything's going really smooth. We have the tools we need. We have the financing we need. We have the community that I think is the most important, supporting us and driving us. And I really couldn't pick something out that would say this is actually a challenge, other than the fact, like you said earlier, we're just doing something that really hasn't been done before. But I don't look at that nearly as a challenge or something that's going to hold us back. That's a motivator for us. That's really what excites me, and that's why I got in programming in the first place. Was let's do the stuff that hasn't been done.
Yeah.
So I think I wouldn't say it's smooth sailing, but we've got a clear path of where we want to go.
Yeah, and it's definitely not a challenge to be doing something that no one's ever done before, right? Like
Yeah,
that's actually a good thing, right?
yeah, we love doing it.
If you see that as a challenge, then yeah, you'll never be motivated by it, right? So I think you hit the nail on the head there for sure. We have a few more questions. Do you ever plan on developing staking, farming capabilities on Myard?
Yeah, so our plan at this point is to launch 3 pairs on Meyer. We'll have the Eagle pair. We'll have Aeromex and Aero BUSD. So that's what the company will launch and is going to provide liquidity for. But as far as details on LP tokens, things like that, we're waiting on more information to come out. After testing's done, and the official kind of answers from Elrond on what's going to be available and how it's going to be done. So I don't want to kind of shoot myself in the foot and talk too soon about some things, but we will definitely launch on the Meyer exchange as soon as possible. And then offer those three pairs.
Yeah, yeah, and like what I think is like we have to kind of just tackle getting the e-gold pairs going and the mex pairs going, get the MVP out there and live and running smoothly, and then once that comes, then you're going to see other tokens being added, and it's going to open doors for lots of people to start adding into the Elrond swaps, and that sort of stuff, and as long as you keep doing what you're doing, I mean, you're definitely going to be on there with those pairs, right? And it's just we just have to move in the right direction, without taking any shortcuts, like some other projects do and stuff, right?
Yep, exactly.
Like I think there's a lot of people, when mex, when this, when that, and all that, and totally understand where people are coming from for sure, but you got to understand the reason Elrond is the way it is, and the reason it is different, is because there are no shortcuts taken, no bug left unturned, and security is key. The trilemma is there, and without us doing that, we could have probably launched, a few weeks ago with what we had, but then bugs would have came out, and then we would have things. It's always better to come with the best possible thing, and that's what chaos testing is proving. Then we'll have battle of the yields, and we'll get to a point where then, okay, now we know it's as easy as just adding a token, right? but yeah, I definitely understand why people are always saying when mechs and are a bit impatient. But what I would say is, trust me, you would rather wait for something to be done right than to have it push out and then get hacked. I mean, I have no fear of a rug ever from Elrond.
Nope.
But like and flash loan attacks, and things get audited and all that stuff, but you still see them because they didn't give any user testing, and user testing is so incredibly important. So guys, it's going to come, and it is here. We're testing it, but trust me, the wait is going to be worth it. And as we've seen already, Mex is the exchange is already very user friendly and incredible as is. So let's just keep going and try and stay a bit patient and keep testing. Um,
Yeah, very well said.
yeah. Okay. So the other thing is, yeah. So they want to know when they'll be able to purchase Arrow, and I think we kind of answered that. And
Mhm.
but we do have a roadmap question. So what's your roadmap look like? You said over 10 years you're going to slowly release coins. You've said that you're going to add liquidity as well as a company to make sure that it's a nice liquid marketplace. But what other kind of roadmap items, significant items, let's say, do you have over the next 10 years?
Yeah, so we try to think short term with the long term in mind. We need to have an overall vision of where we're going to go or where we want to end up, but we have to keep the eye on the ball of what we're doing today and tomorrow so we don't lose sight. But um, marketing is something that we would like to kick off once beta testing's over. We do have an international marketing campaign because we are an international company. We're not just in the States. We're not just Canada or whatever. This is something that's applicable worldwide, right? I mean, there's a need for this. We feel everywhere. So we're going to start, small, with the beta and get that tested, and then hopefully Q1 of next year we'll start the marketing side of it. We have two different communities that we're dealing with here. We have the crypto side, which is my personal favorite, and then we have the aviation side, which is my second favorite. So I was lucky enough to combine two of my favorite things here, but we haven't really done the marketing to the aviation side yet because we want to thoroughly test it with the crypto side because we feel that's more important. It's a very tech savvy community. They know they know how to battle test things. Just kind of what you're talking about with the chaos testing. So the rest of this year is going to be mostly focused on the crypto side of things, wallet functionality, making sure that's dialed in, smart contracts, all that kind of really techie stuff that is really important to get down real solid in the beginning. And then next year, like I said, our plan is to really push the marketing towards the pilots with the referral program and with some other things that we have in the works. And then year three really is to kind of bring it all together. And so at that point, we hope to have a certain amount of aviation professionals on the platform, starting to get flights and do some of that kind of sort of thing. But also the philanthropy side will really kick in that year three when we have some stability and we've got some of the heavy lifting out of the way, and we can focus more on that side of things. So that's kind of as far as we're looking right now. Liquidity providing that is a 10-year program. But as far as where we're going to be in 10 years, I live for today and I build for today, and we'll see what happens tomorrow.
You have really good sayings. You build for today. I think that's a really strong comment to say. If you build for today, your tomorrow will take off or something, right?
Yep.
And you're talking about chaos testing and stuff for Aerovec. So Battle of the Air or something, right? You
Yep.
have your own little incentivized something or something. I don't know, but
Yep. Yeah, we haven't really named
yeah,
it.
yeah, but I think it's really refreshing to know that you're taking it slow. You're making sure, not even slow. You're just doing it right. You're not rushing anything. You're making sure that each component works the way it's supposed to, and you're not committing yourself to a 10-year roadmap that might shift. So yeah, build for today, you know, and tomorrow will come, or that sort of thing. So I think that's really powerful. So I don't think we have any more questions. We just have one there, just asking about just Mext in general, and just, you know, will it be launched with the three default pairs? From my understanding, it will be launched with the three default pairs, but pairs will be able to be added as we get going. But there hasn't been full amount of information on it, but more pairs will come. Just I think on launch we'll just have those three, but they'll come fairly quickly because we're building so that it can be added. They can be added very swiftly, and there's a lot of other projects out there I think waiting as well, and we're gonna get there. So I guess I'm just gonna close up there now. I'm just going to do a quick roundup. So yeah, today on Elrond Talks, we've had Ryan Dietz, founder Aerovec Aviation, Elrond warrior, entrepreneur, and all around good guy. so so he's been here. We'd like to thank him from the community for being here and providing all the stuff that he does, for developing on Elrond, for being a champion of developing on Elrond, and sharing all his insights. We're very lucky to have you. And yeah, like I said, from everyone in the community team and everybody out there, we just want to say from the bottom of our hearts, thank you, and we look forward to great things coming from your way. Um,
Yeah.
so that's that. If you want to say
Well, thank
anything.
you guys. Yeah, I mean, the thank you goes to you guys and the community and the support. I wouldn't be here doing this if it wasn't for that. So, it's one thing to be able to develop and have developer tools, but it's another thing to have the support. And if you don't have both of them, you're really not going to go very far. It's been a breath of fresh air working with this community, with Sever and with Pause, and our community with Mary and the cool mods that we have that are so excited, and they're so willing to help. That's something that I didn't see in the other projects that I worked with. So I couldn't be happier for the future. And with the trajectory that we're on and that Elrond's on, I think everybody's here at the right time. So get involved if you're not. If you are, thank you. Keep doing it. And thanks Kevin and Helios for having me on and for what you guys do. I think it's amazing. And hopefully we can do this a year down the road or something, and we can see where we're at.
For sure. Yeah, and yeah, so thanks again. And just for the record, anyone out there, Elrond Talks is open format. It's just not a Helios thing. So if there's anyone out there, whoever wants to do one, feel free to reach out to one of us, me, Eddie, or someone, or even just tweet. I want to do an Elrond Talks, and then we'll go offline and talk about your idea, and we'd be happy to have you. Yeah, as well. Another quick just housekeeping item. Next Tuesday at 1400 UTC, I'll be doing an Eco Talks on the Elrond Partners channel with Impossible Finance. It'll be an AMA. So start thinking about your questions, guys, and you'll see me again next Tuesday doing that. Okay, so I'm just going to end it here, guys. And again, apologies for the issues at the beginning. Like I said, my connection is kind of all over the place, and I'm kind of in between places right now. But I will get that sorted for the Eco Chat and make sure that we don't have any issues there. Fingers crossed, I guess. Okay, so thanks, guys, and we'll see you again. Bye bye.